in Eddyville, Kentucky. It's time for another episode of Darth Sports Talk. Tonight, Tennessee shocked the world. The big day beat New England Patriots. No Patriots Super Bowl this year. Also, Minnesota shocked New Orleans at the Superdome. Who saw that coming? Not me. Also, we'll have a divisional breakdown. Also, Mike McCarthy got a job at Dallas. Why would they want him? Let's find out. It's a bowl game result, and also David Stern's guy calling the commissioner with the right now. Alright, let's begin. Your host, Darth Easy. Hello, Easy Nation, and welcome to another episode of Darth Easy Sports Talk. So, this is the second episode, and usually when you do shows, on the big network shows or whatever, the first episode is the pilot. You're like, okay, this is the concept episode. Episode 2, though, is the episode is like, all right, can we make this work? And we're here to find that out right now. So let's get right into it. So we're going to talk about there's a lot of news stories that came out this week. So let's get right into it. So first off, we have the NFL Wildcard Weekend. And my God, this was a good way to start off the playoffs. Because this year I felt like was going to be one of the best years in the playoffs in a very long time. Because, lately it's just been kind of like, oh, it's going to be New England, it's going to be in the Super Bowl. It's usually the same teams over and over again. But, this weekend, it's already proven that that's not going to be the case. So let's get to the first game that happened this weekend. We had Houston. Houston came back 16-0 to beat Buffalo in overtime. They won 22-19. This was a hell of a game. And I thought it was going to be a blowout. I really did believe that. Buffalo started this game off so hot. They went 16-0. And then Houston makes their epic comeback, comes back and wins the game in overtime. Buffalo did come back and actually tied the game. And the game got pushed to overtime. And Houston ends up winning the game. And, good for Houston. And it was a hell of a game. Buffalo is the team of tomorrow. They're the future team of that division. Because Tom Brady's not going to be playing forever. I don't think he's going to be playing forever, but surely he's not. And Buffalo is good. Josh Allen, he might throw some mistakes. He is basically still a rookie, but he is going to be pretty good in a couple years. And that defense is always fun to watch. And it was a close game, but Watson, God, those moves he made, impressive. Just very, very impressive. So let's get on to the second game. The second game is we had Tennessee. The Tennessee Titans. They beat the New England Patriots. That's right. There will be no New England Patriots in the Super Bowl this year. This is the first time in 3 years that there's going to be someone else from the AFC. So that actually gives us a little refresher because, if you watch NBA and stuff, you get tired of the same teams in the Super Bowl or in the playoffs in the championship every year. But this year, we're not going to have to worry about seeing Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. He might go to the Super Bowl, but he's not going to be in the Super Bowl. And this was a very shocking game because we knew New England was not the team that won the Super Bowl last year or even the year, or even went to the Super Bowl the year before that. But they still had Tom Brady. The game was close. It was 14-13 the entire game. And New England just could not get over that hump. They just could not overtake Tennessee. And the thing about this game is we're saying that maybe it was just age that finally got to Tom Brady and New England. I don't think that's the case. I think Tennessee's game plan of running the ball, that runner back completely, a good run game can take a team out of the rhythm. And how long Tennessee had the ball at times was just shocking, and it was a fun game to watch, really. I was shocked that the Patriots lost. I said it last week on my first episode where, I could see Tennessee beating them, but you cannot count Tom Brady out. And I didn't call him out, but it's sad that maybe his last play was a pick six, and I'm going to be curious where he ends up. I do not believe that he is not going to be playing for the Patriots next year. I just believe he will be a New England Patriot until he retires, and I am curious to see what happens with Tom Brady as going forward. But for now, Tennessee beats New England. I'm very shocked about it, but good for Tennessee.
Another shock. All three games. I mean, I did my predictions last week. I was wrong all my predictions except one. Minnesota beats New Orleans and in an overtime game, and people were saying all year they're saying the first few weeks of the season that Kirk Cousins, he doesn't have it, that Minnesota should not have picked him up. Well, those people were wrong because Kirk Cousins played a hell of a game. Devon Cook, who was the runner back for Minnesota, played great. It was a great game. It really was. Minnesota really shocked the world, and they showed people that, hey, we're a contender. And the NFC was so tough other than one team that was in the playoffs. But Minnesota was so good, and it really sucks for New Orleans to get the crappier draw. Really, I mean, they probably would have been able to beat Seattle, but Minnesota was just a tough game for them to play against. And because I thought New Orleans was going to go to the Super Bowl and probably win it this year, but I was wrong, and it was a good game though, and Minnesota will go on and play San Francisco. That should be a fun game next week. And finally, we have Seattle. They beat Philadelphia after a maybe dirty call that took out Wentz. The final score was 17-9. I mean, this was the ugliest game of the weekend, but it was still a decent game. And Philadelphia lost Carson Wentz. I mean, this guy is one of the most unluckiest quarterbacks I've ever seen. He's had some good seasons. He's good enough to get the Philadelphia Eagles to the playoffs. He can never actually play in the playoffs. And this year, we don't have a Nick Foles to rely on as a backup to save the day in Philly. No, we had some 40-year-old quarterback, and he did okay, but Seattle, Philly just could not get a touchdown. In these situations, you got to be able to get touchdowns to win football games. You can't just rely on these field goals. And it was a decent game to watch, but Seattle overtook them, and it was a decent game. So let's get right into the divisional series preview. So we have 4 games coming on this week, and all 4 games could be good or they could be bad. Let's talk about them right now. So the first game, this is the first game. This comes out on Saturday. It's playing on NBC at 3:35 p.m. Central Standard Time. Is Minnesota at San Francisco. This is going to be a good game. And anyone who thinks that the Minnesota game was just a fluke, don't be surprised if Minnesota goes to San Francisco and beats San Francisco, because I will not be shocked. I do think San Francisco is good, but their defense has been lacking the last few weeks they've been playing. I mean, they lost to the Atlanta Falcons. So if they can lose to the Atlanta Falcons, they can lose to anybody. They're not the dominant team that people were saying they were. But, I mean, who saw San Francisco this year? They were the team that came out of nowhere, and they're a good football team. But I do think they are going to beat Minnesota, but I do not see San Francisco going to the Super Bowl next week, or in the next weekend after that. I do think they will maybe lose, but it depends who they play in the next game. So this is going to be a good game. I am going to pick San Francisco to win, but I will not be shocked if Minnesota finds a way to win. The second game we have, this also comes out on Saturday. It's playing at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, and we have the Tennessee Titans at the Baltimore Ravens. This is going to be a good game as well. I mean, this is going to be a decent game. This might be the only blowout in the playoffs, to be honest with you, because Tennessee, they were able to beat the New England Patriots. But the defense of the Tennessee Titans played good against the New England Patriots. But I do not believe that defense can hold up against the Baltimore Ravens. The question is for the Tennessee Titans, do they have enough offense to keep up with the Baltimore Ravens offense? Because that offense is electric. I mean, from Lamar Jackson's running to the runner back for the Ravens running the ball to even Lamar Jackson's passing. I mean, and then the Ravens defense is good. Can the Tennessee Titans offense find a way to score? I'm not going to be shocked if this game turns out to be a blowout. There is no way impossible for Tennessee to beat New England. Good job, Tennessee. I'm glad Mariota he found Tannehill find a job at Tennessee, but I do not see you getting out this weekend alive because the Ravens are about to crush you. Now we have the next game, which comes out on Sunday. We have the Houston Texans playing the Kansas City Chiefs. This is playing on Sunday at 2:05 p.m. on CBS. This is going to be a good game as well. I mean, this is the battle of the same draft class between Watson and Patrick Mahomes. And is Patrick Mahomes playing as good as he was last year? No. I mean, he got hurt, but he's finally finding his groove. And they've been having trouble. All 4 games they lost this year were all at home, I believe. I'm not too sure about that fact, but I do believe most of their own games they lost this season were at Arrowhead, so that could be a little issue for them, but you can't count out Patrick Mahomes. And who doesn't want to see Kansas City and Baltimore Ravens, the hot quarterbacks of the last 2 years, squaring off against each other? That would be a really fun game to watch, and a game I really want to see on TV next week. But whatever happens, I think it's going to be a decent game. Don't be shocked if Houston wins, but I think Kansas City was going to win this game. And now maybe the hot game of the weekend is Seattle playing Green Bay. This is also playing on Sunday on Fox at 5:40 p.m. This could be a hell of a game. Like I said, we have Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, and these two guys have met in the playoffs multiple times. And, I mean, I don't think Green Bay is as good as their record shows it is. I mean, they lost to the LA Chargers. They've lost to some other teams. They lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. Seattle is a team that can beat anybody, but they can also lose to anybody. And it depends on how the run game is going. Is the run game going to be able to play? Green Bay's defense is not that great. It's okay. It's better than what it was a few years ago. But I do believe that, let's see, can an over-the-heel Marshawn Lynch and a rookie runner back take on Green Bay? Does Aaron Rodgers still have it? And who's going to be, it's going to come down to which quarterback has that last clutch moment. And I do believe Russell Wilson is a better clutch than Aaron Rodgers is. But it's going to be a close game regardless. I'm rooting for Seattle. Seattle's my team for some reason. And I am ready for this game. It's going to be fun. So now so that ends my NFL playoffs, but we're not done talking about the NFL. We got some coaching hiring and firing really news to talk about. Really, it's just hiring. So Rivera, who was the coach at the Carolina Panthers, he has got the head coaching job of the Washington Redskins. Good for him. I mean, I don't blame it all on his firing from Carolina. I think an unhealthy Cam Newton the past couple of years has really hurt him over there, and you're only as good as your quarterback really is at times. And I hope he does good at Washington. I mean, that franchise right now is in a mess, so I'm curious what they're going to do over there, but it'd be interesting what's going to happen. Also, we have Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is finally, after 10 years of mediocrity at the Dallas Cowboys, they finally part ways with Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett, he's going to find another job eventually. I think he's a decent coach. I don't think what happened at Dallas this year and the past few years is on Jason Garrett. I think a part of it is, but a lot of that is on Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is a terrible general manager, and he needs to hire someone, let the coach be the general manager, do something, but he does not need that invested. You're not going to win that way. But you know what? He's going to continue this course because guess who they hired? Mike McCarthy. Now, as Green Bay is Mike McCarthy a good coach? Sure. Or you're going to ask yourself, is he only that good because he had two legendary quarterbacks on his side from the late Brett Favre when he was playing in the league and Aaron Rodgers? And I mean, him and Aaron Rodgers were butting heads so hard against each other. And you look at Green Bay this year. As soon as they got rid of Mike McCarthy, that team has exploded this year. So I do not think this is a good coaching decision for the Dallas Cowboys. But personally, I hate the Dallas Cowboys. So go ahead and pick up Mike McCarthy. But the reason that maybe Mike McCarthy might do okay over there because he's not going to have any decision on who's on his team other than the coaching decisions. I mean, maybe the offense for Mike McCarthy is going to help the Dallas Cowboys rejuvenate that team. Maybe they'll make the playoffs next year. We'll see. I mean, I just do not buy Mike McCarthy as a good head coach. And I'm happy for the Dallas Cowboys because Mike McCarthy, he's a yes man, and that's what Jerry Jones wants. He's like Trump. He wants someone who is going to agree with him 100% of the time, and that's why he hired Mike McCarthy. So, good luck, man. I do not see you doing that great over at Dallas. Now let's talk about some of these college football games because there was a lot of games I watched over the New Year's break. And first off, we have Alabama. Alabama beats Michigan in the Citrus Bowl 35-16. I mean, gosh, the first half was a good game. Alabama was struggling against Michigan, but you know what? Michigan was able to pull it. Michigan finally got wore down by Alabama because that's how Alabama plays football. Is the teams will play really tight with each other in the first half, and in the second half, Alabama just wears teams down, and Michigan was not be able to win. And John Harbaugh he lost again in another bowl game. I mean, poor guy. I mean, I'm hoping he can do fine. Maybe he'll leave Michigan this year. Maybe he won't. Maybe he'll get I think if Cleveland was able to get Harbaugh as a coach, I think that would be the best thing for the Browns. But I don't know what's going on because he has not been able to beat Ohio State once. He is not doing good against playing teams in the top 10. So Michigan's going to have to do some soul search in the next couple of years. Next story we have Minnesota beats Auburn in the Outback Bowl 31-14. I didn't watch this game, so I don't have much to comment, but Auburn was lucky to beat Alabama in the Iron Bowl. Auburn beats Alabama almost every other year in that bowl game, so that was kind of a fluke game. But Minnesota had a good season. They lost, I think they lost 2 games this year. And I mean, from Minnesota, who I think a year or so before wasn't doing good at all. So good for Minnesota. Also, we have Oregon beats Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl. This was a hot game. This was a real hot game, and I thought it was going to be the bowl game of the day, and it was. It was absolutely a awesome game. Yeah, I thought that it was a fun game. Or Wisconsin was running the crap out of the ball. Oregon, I mean, they just came out of nowhere and found a way to win, and it was a really good football game. It was the best bowl game I probably saw other than that Kentucky game because I'm such a Kentucky fan in football. Next, we talk about Georgia. Georgia beats Baylor in the All-State Sugar Bowl. Baylor, I mean, this is a team 2 seasons ago where they went 1-11. Last year they went 7-6, and this year they almost made it to the Final Four. And Baylor is it's a weirdness in the Big 12 because they're more of a defensive team where the Big 12 is all about offense. Baylor could not really hang with Georgia, and it was an okay game to watch. It wasn't a great game, but it was an okay game. And finally, Tennessee beats Indiana in the Gator Bowl. Indiana blew this game. They had a 12-point lead. They had Tennessee dead to rights, and this game was boring. I was thinking about turning it off and maybe watching some Witcher or something, and somehow Tennessee came back and won the game. There was a great onside kick. That was the best moment of the game, and it was one of the best. It was the only good play I saw from Tennessee all game. I don't think Tennessee was that good. I think Tennessee was lucky to beat Kentucky. They were lucky to beat some of the teams they beat, and I mean, it's going to be curious to see Tennessee in the next couple of years. I mean, I don't think their coach is that good. They probably need to get a new coach. But like I said, it's going to be interesting to watch Tennessee in the next couple of years. That's pretty much it for college football. I mean, next week we're going to have Clemson playing LSU. That's going to be a good game, but there's no way LSU doesn't win because, gosh, they're good. They were good. The last news story to talk about is Tua from Alabama. He declares for the draft. I don't buy him as a great quarterback. I mean, I think he's going to be one of those guys who's going to end up being like a second string quarterback. And some people are saying he's a top 10 pick. I don't see it because playing at Alabama does not highlight your skills in football. Football's always Alabama is a defensive running team. And I never saw greatness from Tua, but maybe I'm wrong, and maybe he'll be the next Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or Drew Brees. I'll believe that when I see it, but good luck, man. Now let's get to NCAA basketball games. There was a lot of upsets this week. So first off, we have Wisconsin. Wisconsin beat Ohio State on the road. This was a decent game to watch, and I was really surprised that Wisconsin was able to beat Ohio State. This was a very good game to watch. I was really shocked Wisconsin won. The big shock of the weekend, though, was this was a really good game, and I only got to watch the first half, and it was such a good game to watch. And that was Georgia. Georgia beats Memphis at home. At home, Georgia. Georgia's a team who sometimes they're okay in basketball. Most of the time they're terrible. Let's be honest with them. Most of the time they're not that great. It's a football program that really does well, and they somehow shocked shocked me, beat Memphis at home, a Memphis team that's been playing really good ball. Memphis did not have one of their players playing. He had the flu or he was sick or something. So maybe that, and he was one of the bigger guys, and Georgia did most of their shots was inside the paint. So maybe have Memphis not having that one player hurt Memphis in this game. But Georgia has a good team. I saw them play earlier in the season. They didn't look that great, but they didn't play bad. I've seen Georgia play a lot worse. I actually thought Georgia might go into the top 25, but that was a little crazy. If they beat Kentucky today, of which I won't be shocked if they do, then yeah. Also Kentucky, speaking of which, they beat Missouri at Rupp. The SEC conference play is starting to happen, and I mean, Nick Richards was playing good in the first half, and then he started being Nick Richards and getting in foul trouble. I don't know about Kentucky this year. I really don't. I mean, it's going to be interesting this week. They're playing Georgia today, and I think Kentucky can handle them with their big guys, but it's going to be a tough game for Kentucky. Marquette beat Villanova. This was a big shocker. I was really shocked they won, but Marquette has the player of the year from last year. He was really good last year, and he's good this year. And also Florida State. Florida State was able to beat Louisville. I mean, I love watching Louisville lose. I mean, who doesn't like watching Louisville lose? And, I mean, if you're a Kentucky fan, you love watching Louisville lose because I hate Louisville. Louisville sucks. But, I mean, Florida State, I'm happy for him because I really like that coach who was a former Kentucky assistant, Hamilton. He's a good coach. All right, so let's end this show by talking about the former NBA commissioner, David Stern. He had a brain hemorrhage, I think, a couple weeks ago, and they were saying he probably wasn't going to make it much longer, and he did eventually die. He died, I think it was last Tuesday. I mean, David Stern was the commissioner during the NBA's most successful run as commissioner, from the Olympics, the Dream Team, to the Jordan, to bring Michael Jordan, to Kobe Bryant. I mean, he was there for some legendary moments, LeBron James. I mean, I don't know a lot about NBA, but I do recognize the face, and I'm sorry for his passing, and prayers and thoughts to his families and everything that's going on around there. So, guys, that ends another episode of Darth Easy Sports Talk. I hope you enjoyed. This was a little long episode. These episodes will probably get shorter as football's starting to wind down, and all we'll really be talking about is college basketball for a while. But yeah, this was a good week in sports, and I'm looking forward to watching that championship game next week. I'm pulling for LSU because I'm an SEC guy, but it's going to be a good game regardless. So guys, if you like this video, if you're watching this on YouTube, click that like button, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can check out latest movie reviews of movies that are coming out of theaters, some classic reviews, also some TV reviews, and some other things going on. Also, I check out my other podcasts that I do. I just launched my Darth Easy Sports Talk. What I do is, from Sunday to Saturday, I watch some TV shows, and I will give my little insight and thoughts of all the shows that I watch, from what's coming out on TV, from like Doctor Who, to what's streaming right now, to from why I'm watching The Witcher. And guys, and also check out my other podcast, which I do with Randy Cage, the Easy Cage Show. We talk about the latest going on in movie news. We talk about the month of movies. Is a movie going to suck? Is it going to be good? Check that out every week. And also, we do top 10s we do it once a month. This month, it will air this Friday. We're doing top 20 movies of the decade. So there will be some polarizing movies. We might yell at each other. I think it's going to be a two-part video, but it's going to be a fun podcast to do. So guys, until next week, stay tuned for more sports talk, and yeah, until next week, all too easy.